Hello, everybody. I think that this is the most on time we've literally ever started. Are you a man? Are you a gay man? Are you a bisexual man? Are you a man who is sympathetic to the gays or the bisexuals? Are you a woman who is sympathetic to the gays and bisexuals? Are you explicitly not a feminist and are entirely sick of that? Have you realized that feminists abuse gay men? Are you a feminist who is spying on the enemy? Well, oh boy, here we are, right out in the open. And oh boy, you're going to have to spy for a really, really, really long time if you're going to beat us. And you probably never will anyway. So, but you can try. Here we are. And regular cast of characters here, except for I do want to mention Panta is, yes, the guest that we had from last week. Wrote me a little bit privately saying that he wasn't sure whether he talked too much, not enough, and I said, actually, you could probably talk a little bit more. And considering he actually did go out of his way to make his own Gigtow video for my playlist, I wanted him back for a second try. So here he is, and everybody else introduce yourself in from left to right. Katz, Panta, Farrell, and then Bacon.
Hello, everyone. I am our Katz Gay, the gay man mother of Gigtow. Prince of Queens is the father. I am happy to be here. I do videos about Gigtow and whatever other nerdy shit is spouting out of my brain and mouth places. So yeah, happy to be here.
Cool. Oh, and by the way, I have some really cute nerdy shit that so remind me, I'm going to start eating my little Reese's stick that I got as my dessert for this evening. What's up, Panta?
Not much. I'm using headphones, so hopefully there won't be an echo today. I haven't made another video. I have a whole list of videos in mind, and I've got some editing software, so hopefully the next video will be a little bit better quality and a little more interesting.
Okay, you sound great.
Cool.
Hey gang, this is Farrell. If Prince is the father of Gigtow and Katz is the mother, I am that weirdo uncle that nobody talks about.
You're kind of our part-timer.
Yeah, I'm the intern. I make the coffee. I make crappy coffee.
He's the stepmother.
I'm the bitch stepmother. Yes.
Without a doubt.
And hello, everyone. I am Saint of Bacon, controlling the Gaytriarchy again, which next week I hopefully will fix. If I'm somehow in the family of Gigtow, I'm the drunken older brother, I guess. Being the one not gay person here. Anyways, I'm an aspire. Anyways, I just do aspire to be a Twitch thought someday. So that's all I want to be.
But you're functionally rather gay, right?
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk about that in my stream on Sunday. I think Sunday, about bisexuals needing to be more descriptive with how we are, because I go for the dudes more than the women.
Yeah, I've said it many times. You can verify this. I said you are the gayest bisexual I've ever met.
Although I did see Mean Girls, and I somehow feel less gay.
Technically, doesn't this make you a practicing homosexual as opposed to, pro?
I don't know.
We should have an entire episode devoted simply to dissecting Saint Bacon's sexuality.
I don't know. All I know now is after I've seen what's it called, the Mean Girls, I want a steak now and to blow something up.
Really?
Yes.
I'll get the Tannerite.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
Steak and explosives.
Yeah, what else does a man need?
Oh, that actually, that's the stuff of a Netflix original series right there. Steak and explosives.
I think we already have what's that called? Ozarks. I think we've already got that coming. So
no, we need the you know what we should have a show about like the hicks that live just outside of the really supposedly sophisticated Bay Area. But like the napkins that I grew up, napkins people are that don't know. That's what people in Napa Valley call the local the local napkins. They call them napkins,
That's
and
nice.
it's the weirdest mixture of like, I call it like post trailer trash, because like, so like, you know, they've all got actual like trailer trash family members and uncles, and some of them are pretty hicky, but they also work in wineries and really sophisticated restaurants, and it's the weirdest town in the world, I tell you.
And didn't you say like the property got worth a lot of money because
Oh,
of
so much money. Like,
so there's like trashy ass like people that are very very hickish who own very valuable property.
oh yeah, no, like the house that my dad grew up in Napa back in the late 60s. It's just this little, I mean, it's nothing special at all. It's just a little like 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, like 800 square foot tinderbox in the middle of town. I think anywhere else, like in Oklahoma or something, it would be worth like, I don't know, maybe $100,000. But that same house is worth like $700,000 just because it's in Napa, even though it's never been renovated or anything. And they're also kicking themselves because they sold that house many, many years ago. They thought that, at the time, my grandpa thought he had made a great investment because he bought the house for $10,000 and sold it for $50,000. Oh, history.
Yeah, my great grandparents, their house, they bought it for $5,000. It just sold for $560,000.
Where's that?
Contra Costa County.
Oh yeah, the whole Bay Area is
Yeah.
like. I'm just hoping that BART extension train that they built right next to my house will hopefully increase the value of my home, so I can move and live like not a king, maybe like a king's drunken mistress or something. I'll be okay with that.
Or Corchester.
I've got YouTube for that.
So I
I
just
don't
have to
understand. I was gonna say I don't understand how San Francisco can have so much wealth in such a small area, yet still they got shit in the streets.
Because of incredible, overly naive left-wing management, basically. I mean, like, we have no, in California, we have no way to get rid of people. Like, I had a couple of roommates that lived in my house for a while, and they paid me rent once, and then they stopped for like 6 months, and there are literally no services to get rid of people that are doing that. Like,
oh yeah, no, they actually have laws protecting them. They have what is called squatters' rights, and
yes.
At least in San Francisco, I'm not sure if
it's all of California. But like,
it's the most absurd thing if you think about it. It's if somebody stays at your house for 30 days straight, I don't even know how they prove it.
All they have to do is get one piece of mail addressed to that address, and that's it. That's all they really do.
Yeah, and then you have a fucking roommate that you can't evict.
Well, it kind of makes sense because they're very pro-immigrant, so it's kind of the same idea. You get someone from another country, sets foot in California, and suddenly they're treated better than some citizens.
Yeah, because they're more valuable. Especially with San Francisco. Did y'all hear? What is happening to me? I've been around you people too much. Did you all hear about in San Francisco where they are actually letting the illegal undocumented immigrant people vote in the school board elections?
Yeah, I heard about that.
That it is the worst idea ever, because they're going to say, oh, it's just the school board election, but they are going to use that to grandfather them in on every single thing. Before you know it, they're going to say, well, why can't they vote for governor or president?
Well, aside from that, the local elections are the most powerful ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are the people that have the most bearing on people's lives in that area.
And also, one of my viewers also said that we as gays should demand voting rights in San Francisco's city council elections because, hey, if you don't even have to have a good proof of living in San Francisco, we should just get, representation by default of being into the,
Oh, dude, I got this figured out. I'll have some of my mail forwarded to your address. Piece of cake. Done.
I think if you don't live in San Francisco, oh, God, I would hate that.
A post office box.
If I had a lot of money and I could live where all the tech billionaires live, I'd enjoy it. But as far as like where regular people live in San Francisco, no.
But see, I don't even know if there's like some place where all the tech billionaires live. Like there is a few neighborhoods that you can go. Like the neighborhood. There's this one neighborhood that's right by the Painted Ladies, which is the Full House houses, where it's right by a park, and you see
Nob
these.
Hill, isn't it?
Yeah, there's this. I think it's up on Nob Hill, and maybe a little bit for
Russian
close to
Hill?
it's very close to there. Well, there's like 500 hills, and they're all by each
Yeah,
other.
it's Russian Hill because Snob Hill's on the other side of the valley.
Well,
Okay, because there's this one hill. There's this one hill that is really, 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 really that has these houses on there that it's just ridiculously nice. You know, like LA nice type. Like once you get up there, you're looking at mansions that you would expect to find in Beverly Hills, and it's really for only like 1 or 2 blocks. And but I don't know who the fuck lives in those houses. You know, it's like because I only went on the street like one time, and I was like, whoa, I've never been on this street before. Like I was probably in a cab, you know, like but.
I used to have some friends that were very wealthy in San Francisco. They lived in a place called on the other side of San Francisco called the West Portal. Like that's where like all like a bunch of people who either were players or owners on like the A's and 49ers, just a bunch of sports and probably not tech billionaires lived. And that was exactly what you're talking about. Like a hill that over like you can't really get in there except through a couple of streets, and you just wind through these incredibly nice houses that just overlook on the hills, and those homes are $1 million as a starter home. I mean,
yeah, except for these ones were right in the middle of San Francisco. Like from these ones, if you felt like it, you could probably do about a 15-20 minute walk and walk to a fun bar. Like it was like, whoa, like who I didn't even know these houses were here. Like I didn't like it was like some sort of Easter egg hidden in a fucking, you know, RPG. Like you turn right around the block 20 times and then all of a sudden this like new block opens and you're like, whoa, holy crap. Like, you know, 15 minutes that way, I'm walking in shit, and then all of a sudden there's this like Beverly Hills style mansion block. Like what the hell? I don't even know.
It does beg the question, though. Like, I really wonder if is San Francisco still particularly gay, other than in reputation?
Not really.
I mean, it doesn't feel like it. The Castro is basically just a mini mall. Like, yeah, they've got the rainbow crosswalks and a bunch of porn stores, but otherwise, like, it's just like what? It doesn't. It's not anything particularly special, and I don't know. I would love to see if there was a way to investigate it. I don't think. What do you like? You were Bacon. You say no. What do you think, Prince?
I think that there is still gayness in San Francisco. I just think that it's going through a rough patch economically. Like there's not a whole lot of bars currently, just because bars are having a hard. Like people are saying, oh, all the gay bars are closing. It's like, well, I kind of feel like all the bars are closing. And people are largely like more people are moving from San Francisco than moving into it, and that's been the trend for the last couple of years. So it's hard to like want to say, is San Francisco still gay? It's like, well, is San Francisco still anything?
Well, that's not quite what I meant.
Aside from Chinese, which it definitely still is.
Oh yeah, that is true. No, what I meant is all cities, with probably a few exceptions, are considerably gayer than like big cities are always going to have a certain hyper gay section or quality. There's all like the hyper gays always go to the big cities because that's, I don't know, it's in our DNA or something. I don't mean that, because almost any big city will have that. Chicago, New York, wherever. I just mean San Francisco used to be the gay city.
Yeah.
Like, and I just don't feel like it is anymore.
I would say that more gay transplants are probably moving to Brooklyn and LA at the moment still. I don't think that there's another oh, you know what's kind of big for the more less financially well off, more gritty, more likely to become addicted to heroin demographic?
My neighborhood?
No, a lot of them moved to New Orleans.
Oh, well, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
New Orleans has been really trendy over the past 5 years or so.
Well, it's also really cheap, I think, because they've had to rebuild basically everything, and they got rid of all the old derelict stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, you know what? Hey, what if San Francisco had a hurricane? Like, we could get rid of all the homeless people, all like the rent control buildings, and actually, build it properly this time.
I think
No, there's
that you mean earthquake, and actually, last I heard, they're kind of due.
No, it's like that's what we need is an actual hurricane. Like, it'll be so weird. They'll make movies about it. But
The rain can wash the shit out the streets and clean it up a little bit.
seriously, like that's what it'll give the city a good power washing.
Sounds hygienic. I'm all for it.
I swear, I've never actually did.
Okay, now here's the thing: San Francisco is not it is not very nice at the moment, but it's still you'll have fun if you go there, but just don't expect it to be quite as like, oh my god, like this place cures cancer as some of the people who talk about it. I used to be one of those people.
Like when I talk to my friends who live in Nevada about it, they're like, oh, all these great things about San Francisco, what few great things they'll even give, like what few good things they'll say about it. And I'm like, anything good about San Francisco, you have to take the bus to, because literally anywhere fun, there is no parking.
No.
Like like all the other touristy shit. It's like, oh yeah, the only semi-fun thing that you can go to, drive to, is Japantown. Other than that, everything else that's fun, you have to like take Uni to.
Well, and the fucking if you try to park in San Francisco, beware, because it is a fucking game, like trying to figure out the legal parking.
It's a blood sport.
Well, it's a blood sport and it's a game. Like you have to get out of the car and read the fine print on every fucking sign, because it'll be like no parking Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 a.m. to noon, and between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And then no parking on Tuesdays between noon and 6 p.m. Like, it will literally be like that.
Oh yeah, even a handicap placard will not help you in San Francisco. Like it's like leveling up once out of like 100 possible level ups. It just really doesn't.
And it's undoubtedly a huge source of income for the city government to ticket people, and so they're trying to deliberately make it so that like you can kind of maybe park, but you mess up and park accidentally, and then they ticket you. They know they're doing it.
Well, yeah. The biggest reason, though, is that San Francisco was never built to accommodate the sheer size that it has become, and not just of the people that live there, but the people that go to San Francisco for work, for tourism, for all of that. And the city council prevented any kind of meaningful development for decades, and thus drove up the price of housing so high in the name of protecting the low-income residents that they were supposedly doing it for. And now they're like trying everything they can to make it better, but it's way too late.
A lot of this I actually went over in okay, that's policy decisions that you could argue are bad, and you're probably right. You're probably absolutely right. But I made a whole video about it. Was called Why San Francisco is the Worst City Ever and I'll Never Move Back.
Oh, I remember that one.
And the long-standing thing that you got to keep in mind about San Francisco is that it is probably literally the most desirable plot of 10 square miles of land in the United States, because of the weather and its proximity to water. Like it's a peninsula, and so there's coasts on 3 sides of the city. So that means that ships can come in and port and drop off goods from up and down the coasts and all the way across from Asia. And so it's always going to have a massive import export economy simply because of how great of a place it is to import and export stuff. Like you go to the place and there's all sorts of different ports.
Of course,
And
other ports have beat them at that game now because they try to charge too much.
yeah, but there's that, and then even more that's what started the city, right?
Mhm.
But well, that and the gold rush. But then the other thing is that it just has supernaturally nice weather.
It does.
It's not too it's not too hot, but it pretty much never freezes in San Francisco. Like you can
But it can.
be
Yeah.
for whatever reason
It's because of the actual like the salt content for one thing. Like seawater can't freeze unless you're in
well,
the
I don't mean the water. I mean the temperature of the city. Like if you're in the city, like it's not. I don't remember it snowing a single time that I was there for 7 years.
Well, no, it's the salt that prevents it from happening. Like it's the fact that it's on the coast is what keeps the weather the way it is. It's the
Okay,
combination.
well, it certainly snows in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is much higher, but okay, yeah, but yeah.
Regardless, what I'm saying is that San Francisco is supernaturally nice weather, and there's been a long history of nice buildings and companies forming, and people want to be by San Francisco because of those things, and it's always going to be like that. And the whole city could go bankrupt and leave, and then someone would come and flip all the buildings and turn a profit off of it and open up shop again.
Probably the Chinese.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, they already own like at least a 30% stake in the city right now. For God's sakes, they built a new Bay Bridge.
Yeah.
And that's why it's falling apart, by the way.
So true. Like I can't remember who I was talking about. I was talking to one of my friends, and they're like, "Why do you?" Oh, it's the same friend in Nevada. Like, "Oh, why do you trust BART? It goes underwater." I'm like, "At least I know that the bridge won't collapse on me." I mean,
it is so true.
It's like seriously, that piece of crap was built by Kaiser in the '70s, and it's still going. Bridge has been going up 4 years now, and it's
already
scandal every year, every week about it.
What were we going to talk about before we started talking about San Francisco?
Oh, I don't know. I found some news, but I never read through it because I didn't have the time.
Can I tell you guys my little okay, so
No, you can't.
No, this is a cute story, and I feel like the audience is gonna like it. So I obviously play Overwatch all the time. I talk about it on YouTube all the time. I've made entire videos about Overwatch. If anyone likes my videos, so and by the way, smash the like button. You guys are like pissing me off. We have 20 watchers and fucking 5 likes is probably all of us. So, geez, what are you guys doing?
Well, maybe they don't like us.
So, I play Overwatch all the time. And the thing about Overwatch is that you have your gamer name, and I actually met my first actual friend that lives by me in person for the first time. This guy who's like just about to turn 21, and we hung out a few weeks ago. But other than that, I have never met a single one of them. And we made friends with this little kid, and he's literally 11 years old. And it happened, probably about 6 months ago or so. We were playing, and the thing is, when you play Overwatch, you have microphones, you can talk to each other, but not everybody has one. You don't have to have a microphone to play. So a lot of people don't. When I first started, I didn't have one. And teams have a tendency to want to have people who have microphones unless they know someone is really, really good, and because being able to communicate, tell each other, hey, there's danger behind us, and give a warning, it's good. So we were playing a match and we won. We did a really good job, or we felt we did a good job. And then the person who was playing Tracer, and Tracer's a hard character to play. Like she's um a speed character that attacks. You know, she zips around, kind of teleports and shoots people. It's hard to play her. And our Tracer actually did a really good job. And so when we were done, we were like, you can select to want to stay with the team, right? If you like the team that you're with. And we had 5 people, and it's a game of 6, and so we had this extra Tracer that was playing with us, and he requested that he stay with us. And we're all friends, right? And so we were like, "Hey, do you got a mic? Do you got a mic? You got a mic?" And you know, and you have about 30 seconds to affirm the request or to reject it. And so we're like, "You got a mic? Okay, well, hey, you were a really good Tracer, but we like to play with people with mics. Sorry about that." And then right when it was about like 3 seconds left, you hear a mic turn on, and there's this little voice, and he's like, I have a mic."
I think you're about to tell him you can't sit with us.
No, and we were like, "Oh," and then it was up, and we were like, "Oh my god, did you hear him? He sounded all sad. Like, I can't believe, oh my god." And then so okay, I have no ability to be mean to the kids on over, unless they are little like shit talkers. Like you will run into like little shit talky kids sometimes that'll just like be little fucking pieces of shit. But like you could tell that he was like nice, you know.
And
so I was like,
he was good.
yeah, he was good. And so I wrote him a message. I added him as a friend. And I think some of the other people might have. But I was kind of like, you know, the group leader, and I tend to be in the games on Overwatch. Like that's sort of my they call it the phrase has called shot callers. Like people. It works best if you have somebody who can kind of like tell people which characters to play and like that kind of a thing. And I end up being that person with my group of friends.
Because you're bossy.
Because I'm bossy and I know everything. So I'm pretty good at like, you know, keeping track of like what characters my friends have been playing recently, so that I know what they're warmed up with, because it's a really complicated game, you know. So
it's no Candy Crush.
So he at some point this was during the school year, he would play with us on Fridays and Saturdays, and you could just tell that it was a big deal to him, because he would stay up till like seriously like as long as we would stay up, which is sometimes like 4 or 5 a.m. and he would be like he would hide from his parents and shit.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, and he was doing that, and he was, I think, maybe even initially in silver, like this. Okay, so in Overwatch there's leagues. There's bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, masters, grandmasters, and then top 500, and then beyond top 500s it's like professional people that actually get paid to like compete in video game competitions and shit. So he was probably in like silver, but it was really probably only because he didn't really have any real friends that played the game. I think he would play with his cousins sometimes, but he's an 11-year-old kid and he doesn't really talk on the microphone. So we started playing with him, and I remember when he got into mid gold and he was like really, really, really stoked, and he like wrote me a message thanking me personally, because he sees me as the person that like kind of brought him in and is sort of, I guess, in charge of the group a little bit or something, because there was a little bit of drama between some of our teammates and they weren't wanting to play with each other. And so he asked me, like, are we still playing with them? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you want to, like, I don't have anything against any of them personally, but they don't really want to play with each other is the thing. And he's like, oh, okay.
So you're the dorm mother.
Yeah, kind of. Well, because there's only one guy who's older than I am. All the other ones are, you know, significantly younger, and the guy who's older than I am has no interest in being like a shot caller. He just, you know, sits there and relaxes after work, and that's what he does. You know, he's a tank main, and I'm playing tanks is not a position where you like order other people around. You know, so the kid and I he developed this kind of relationship with me where he would if he would do well he would send me a message, not the other people, because usually he has to have his mic off so he can't really talk to us because he's usually staying up past his bedtime, and he'd usually send the message to me. And what happened is that school got out and everything changed because then he could play every day. And
he had the power.
yeah, and he has grown exponentially good at this game since school's been out, and there continued to be drama with the other people on in our Overwatch group. You know, like there was they just things were just like kind of weird, and I actually kind of got mad at someone a little bit, or one or two. I don't really even remember. Nothing.
Did you have to kick some bitches in the throat, Chris?
No, not really. No, no, it was just kind of like things just got a little bit weird, and I decided that I was going to mostly just solo queue and like not even be with a group of people, and just, you know, put my name out to the random selection and get paired with people I didn't know, just because I had never really spent a lot of time doing that since when I first started playing the game, and I figured that I should work on being more adaptable myself, right? So I was doing that, and then of course the 11-year-old, every time he's online and notices that I'm online, he's like, "Can I play with you?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't say no to kids, you know. Like I have no ability to, like I wasn't even telling the other people that I wasn't playing with them. I just kind of wasn't, you know." And they would notice, like you can tell if somebody's in a competitive match because it says that they're in a competitive match. You can't invite them to your group. Well, he didn't know to like sort of like respect my space in the same way that the other guys did. So he sent me messages and I was like, yeah, sure. And so then I started actually playing with him. Then we started playing like practically every day, just he and I. And then it was actually really cool because he's 11 years old, and just for the fucking record, he's Asian. So
of course he's Asian.
Yeah, stereotypes are true. A lot of the time, Asian people are really good at video games for whatever reason. It's true. We all know it.
Is he Korean?
I have no idea. Well, no, and here's the thing. Korean people aren't necessarily better than other gamers, but in Korea, esports are really, really big, and I think it has to do with the gambling laws over there. Like I think it's perfectly easy to throw tournaments in Korea in a way that it's not everywhere else. So that's why in Korea, video games are really, really huge at the moment. But so he's this 11-year-old kid that, especially like the more and more I play with him, he's starting to pick up the game more and more, and he's starting to get good because there's like about like 27 characters in it. And at first it was like he could play pretty well, like 3 or so. And now it's probably like he can play pretty well, probably like 8 or 9. And he can pick them up like really, really, really quickly. And he's starting to understand the greater complexities of the game and like why you would want to go one character in a situation, like just to adapt to the enemy team or to adapt to the teammates that we have. And then I realized that I could grow that way because I could start ordering him around, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not all that adaptable. I'm 36. Like, I don't know how to adapt to this game. I don't know how to learn new characters, but my little teammate does, you know? And so I'll be like if I told him, hey, I want you to learn this character so that we can combo 2 characters, he would do it because he listens to me. So we started doing that and doing that and doing that. And then something I think clicked over the past week or so, and he just skyrocketed. And so now it went from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he got into the Platinum League for the first time, and it was just him and I queuing together. He got in and he was really stoked. Platinum is at 2,500. He got over 2,800, and 3,000 is when you get into diamond. So he's close to getting into diamond, and none of my regular group of friends has actually gotten into diamond themselves yet. So if he were to be the first person to get into diamond, he would be like, it would be the world to him. And so that was just happening last night, and I just thought it was a cute little story. I am it makes me so proud, and it's silly and everything. But one of the things I was thinking, and this is what I'll bring it back to the Gaytriarchy, is like, you know how there's like these like creepy gay guys who become scout leaders and end up like sleeping with the kids and everything.
I guess.
Well,
Stories.
it happens. It happens. I have heard of this, and like, it's not necessarily like fucking 11-year-olds, but like maybe something like 13, 14-year-olds.
I'm more scared of youth pastors, to be honest. But
yeah. But like, okay, so I'm in playing this video game, and this is a kid. I literally don't know what he looks like. I don't know what his name is. I don't know what city he lives in. And like, I have absolutely zero attachment to him as a young boy, aside from the fact that he is curious and learning, and it is actually cool to offer him some sort of mentorship. And I have to wonder if gay men miss that. Like, they miss out on being fathers. They miss out on being able to mentor a young kid. So then they start doing it in the Boy Scouts, and then they get all pervy because they're around them. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, maybe it's healthy for gay guys to do this and play video games and like teach kids that they don't even interact with in person how to get better at video games, because it's actually really rewarding.
Totally get it. Most of my friends, I mean, y'all know, were younger straight guys that are like in their 20s or so. And I mean, that's it's the whole mentoring thing. That's what I get out of it. In the meantime, they get kind of the dad figure that they never had. So it works out really well.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. I think as far as the perviness goes, I feel like the kind of person who's going to sleep with children or teenagers is going to do it whatever role they end up into. I feel like that's kind of a separate bag from whatever their reason for entering the organization.
I'm never very good at like going into the mind of a pedophile, because I'm so not like I've never been. Like,
no, I know.
I look at like a 21-year-old and I'm like, ew, fucking grow some hair on your chest. God.
I do know a little. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a pedophile, obviously. I do know what it's like to be on the receiving end of abuse. But at the same time, like when it happened to me, I mean, they were also children. They were just much older than I was at the time. I don't know. My personal feeling, based on what I've read and what I can see, is that I feel like it's a misnomer when people try to say that like pedophiles are really gay or straight, to be honest. I feel like, now here's the thing, I'm not legitimizing the whole heart progress pedosexual thing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I feel like it's kind of like a mental illness that anyone could potentially suffer from. I think it's outside the deal of sexuality, personally.
Yeah.
What do you think, Panther?
I think one thing, I mean, as far as the younger teens, I don't know, but I know from going out like the gay bar scene and like Scruff and Grinder for the twinks, 18 to, I guess, 29, whatever the cutoff is for a twink, they seem to, by and large, have a desire for daddies. And I'm probably older than any of y'all. I'm 46, 47 in a couple of weeks.
Seriously?
Oh, you're looking good.
Thank you. It was funny last
I feel
week.
real bad now. I'm only 40 and I look like shit.
Last weekend I took my parents out to lunch, my dad's birthday, and the waitress asked me if my parents were my parents or my grandparents. So I was like, yeah.
Did that person didn't get a tip, did they?
No, she did, because I was king. But getting back to it, like when I go out to the bars or when I'm pull up Scruff or Grind, most of the people that hit on me are the twinks. And I'm attracted to twinks, but I'm also attracted to guys my age, assuming they're taking care of themselves. And my problem is with dating most of the guys my age is they all fall into one of three categories. They're either already taken, or they have not taken care of themselves, so they look like shit, or they have some serious issues like alcoholism, drug addiction, homelessness. And so when you have those three things kind of standing in the way, it's really hard to find a guy close to my age. And then in the meantime, you have the twinks who are looking for daddy, and not sugar daddy. They actually legitimately want that sort of mentoring, I think. And it's like, well, I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to look at that gift horse in the mouth.
I know
I don't see.
Not gift.
I don't see myself like having a serious long-term relationship with someone. But I don't know. I mean, I've got to date with a 21-year-old tomorrow, so we'll see.
Oh, hey.
Huh.
Going to IKEA to steal a cradle.
I don't think 21's that bad. At least he can drink.
Mm-hmm.
Take your age, divide by 2, or divide by 2 and subtract 7. Go no younger than that. Or is it add 7? Add 7. My bad. That's not
Okay.
math.
I have to be silly for a second and just admit that there is this one gay YouTuber who's like a gay YouTuber who has his shirt off and just talks to the camera about being gay for no particular reason, doesn't really say anything interesting, and the only marketable feature is that he's really fucking cute. There is one who is of the twink variety. I mean, not like skinny twink, slightly athletic twink.
Is he the one that talks to all the porn stars?
No, I haven't seen him talking to porn stars, I don't think, but I don't watch him that much. But I would make out with him. I would make out with this one. Have you guys seen Andrew Neighbors?
Yeah, I've seen him. I think I did a response video to him at one point.
Andrew Neighbors.
I don't. It's not about the brains. I don't think I even ever finished listening to him speak.
Oh, him. Oh, wow. He looks like one of my I used to have a roommate that looked exactly like him.
But he is, to me, like if I were to do twink or whatever, I would be. He would be the he'd be the cutest one. I mean, like for that type, like he's very cute.
My thing isn't so much about I don't care if you're Twinkie, Berry. Mostly I just care the only real issue I have with twinks is if they are too flamboyant or if they're completely hairless, because I generally find that to be a bit of a turnoff. I don't know why. I know some guys are really into the whole clean shaven hairless, but to me it's just sort of no.
One thing I will admit, okay, so the first guy that I had lots of sex with, he was about 33, 34 when I was 18, 19, and I slept with him off and on for a year. Mostly on visits, because he lived in Seattle when I was going to college in New York City, so I would come back to Seattle and have sex with him. And he was really, really ripped, super hot body, and he was very hairless. And I think it was completely natural, and it was hot. It was totally fine. It was all smooth and. But guys, if you have hair, I guess it's okay to trim it and everything. But
no stubble.
Yeah, what's the point of stubble?
No, particularly if it's on the shaft. Oh, for the love of God! If you shave there, do not let there be stubble there. You're going to be very unpopular very quickly. Let me tell you.
Yeah. But so yeah, Andrew Neighbors has a very. It looks like it would be naturally smooth body.
I mean, hot is hot. I just generally prefer hair. I don't mean that I want to date a Wolverine or something like that. I just mean I don't really care if the upper body is hairless or not, but I like hairy legs.
You want to be able to find the forest through the trees and just not be in a desert?
That is a very specific way of putting it, but sure. Let's go with that. I don't know. Like, I think Sean Cody, as always, kind of perfectly encapsulates what for most people is the ideal gay aesthetic. They're buff. They're not hairless, but they're trim. Usually the upper body is hairless, but they still have hairy butt and legs. And yeah, like it's somewhere between twink and bear, and overall it's delicious.
Yeah, Sean Tucker Cardi guys are pretty sexy.
They usually are.
And then there's Treasure Island Media, which that's you don't really want to date one of them, but you might want to get drunk with one of them.
Oh, and I have.
That's right. You were telling. I would love to meet that one.
Like get drunk with and brutalize with a mob handle? Or are we talking that kind of?
I don't think that he would. He's probably done that.
No, he has.
I think that he went through about 15 years of his life. If you name it, he would try it. Kind of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good guy though, too, as a friend. Like
he seems like a genuinely nice person. Which is weird to think of for a porn star, but he just seems like a
yeah. He told me about his upbringing, and he came from a really, really, really messed up background, and knew like
there are very few happy origin stories for porn stars or prostitutes.
Yeah,
or
but it wasn't just his family, which that was too, but then it was the crowd that he initially ran with when he was young, because he was not gay, and he ran. Well, he didn't realize that he liked men for a long time, and he ran with a really, really rough crowd of. I would say the best way to describe it is gangsters of the non-ethnic variety. Is all I'm going to say.
They were white people.
Yeah.
White people.
A certain type of white guys who are essentially gangsters. Use your imagination. So he ran with those guys probably when he was in like high school and maybe in his early 20s, until he had some epiphanies of like that he wasn't actually like them and he was just kind of around them. And then he became a gay porn star or something. And I think that
as you do.
Yeah, or some shit. Like I don't, and he probably doesn't, honestly. I bet he doesn't even remember everything, because he was probably using all sorts of substances like during the whole time, but he's a good guy if you meet him, and it's just kind of like I'm sure if you're from certain cities and your dad is a certain way, like his dad was like his dad, from what I could tell, did not give a fuck about him. Like, just really, really did not give a fuck about him. And you fall in with like not a wrong crowd, like, but the worst crowd. Like, you're in the worst city, falling into the worst crowd, and then it occurs to you after you're like 22 that actually you're gay. And what do you do? And for him, he had been working construction, so he was like kind of ripped, and he started working porn.
It's the stuff that Hallmark cards are made out of. I gotta tell you, I would buy that card and I would frame it. Awkward silence, which is made even more awkward when you draw attention to it.
Has anything in the news, like gay-wise, happened in the past week?
Weird stuff.
So much weird stuff.
Yeah, let's start looking.
Can someone send me some of the weird stuff? Because I got nothing. I was busy at work.
It seems kind of quiet.
I have one, actually. Well, it's not gay. It's gayish, but hold on, let me find it. Into Google Keep.
Cass, did you get the pic of that news story that I sent you earlier? I verified it.
Yes, I remember you did send it to me, but I can't remember what it was about at the moment. But I do remember you sent one to me.
Refugees get free tickets to Brighton Pride Festival.
Let me see.
That's the one.
Okay, I got that one. I'll pull it up here in a moment.
Oh God, where did I keep it? Toxicness. The chat must be loving us frantically searching for.
Hold on, I'm about to present. Share.
So one thing
Well,
that's kind of
the
odd,
mulch of dumpster fires is difficult to keep up with.
What were we saying, Panther?
I think I'm probably the only one who's not been to San Francisco ever.
I think you should
I've not.
definitely go at least once.
I mean, I remember you used to think it was kind of like the gay Mecca, and you have to make a pilgrimage sometime during your life. But the past few years, I've heard a lot of
Okay,
negativity.
Sorry, this is absolutely nutty. I'm just looking at this article.
Yeah, and it's something.
What does Love BN1 Fest mean?
I don't know. I figure it's a new gender or something.
No, but that's NB. This is BN.
I don't know. It's either a gender or it's a UPC code. We'll figure it out in a minute. I hope.
Where is this?
In
Brighton,
England.
in England.
Oh,
Jesus.
well, this is something different that I found, but yeah, y'all want to talk about. It's a Medium post. We need to talk about toxic gay masculinity.
Oh, we're safe.
That sound good to y'all?
You can leave my. You can leave my.
Hey, now, y'all is my preferred pronoun. I'll have you know.
Are you accusing me of cultural appropriation?
No, nothing appropriate about my culture.
Well, you are white, so we can't appropriate your culture.
Except for your god sister.
That's true. And besides, I'm not white. I'm Ho-white. There's the H at the front.
White.
Ho-white.
It almost sounds like you're gonna. I keep thinking you're gonna say Hawaiian. Hawaii. All right, I sent the one I was just talking about in the link, Bacon.
Okay. I will find. Oh, fuck you, Tabs. Oh no, I said a swear.
Well, now we're all going to die.
Britney Spears is performing at Pride.
Oh, that's
She must be broke.
Is she going to sing about how her masculinity is toxic?
Yeah. Oh God, that has to be a music video now. Like Britney Spears toxic with masculinity, just randomly put it.
No, because like I it's not surprising when it's like Robin S or like CC Pedersen or some fucking like 90, like Crystal Waters or some shit. But like they got fucking full blown Britney Spears. Like
I must admit that is not the one you would expect.
Well, Brighton is kind of like Britain's version of Key West or Provincetown. It's fairly popular for gay beach tourist destination.
Now, is Chris Crocker going to perform with her? And then if people start catcalling, he can tell them to leave her alone?
Leave Britney alone!
Yeah, I recently heard an explanation about her breakdown and what it was actually all about.
Well, she had a legitimate nervous breakdown.
No. Do you know? No, this is what I heard from a fan, and it actually totally made sense. I think I might have actually watched a YouTube video proposing this theory, and they put together evidence of what it was. So Brittany had a kid before that, and it was probably infant type age, maybe 1 year old, very very young kid, and there were some sort of extenuating circumstances that made it so. Shit, I think I must have watched a video, and maybe people need to like look up this video and link it in the chat or something. That made it so that if she were to fake going crazy, then she could be committed to the mental hospital, and then she wouldn't have to take a drug test, and then she could get out of the mental hospital, not have to take a drug test, get to see her kid again, just for like one visit. But if she did have to take a drug test, she would have failed, and then she would have been deemed unfit to see her kid for the visitation, and that's why she went really, really public with the whole like nervous breakdown thing, she was playing it up for the camera so that people thought that she was going crazy when really she was actually trying to duck out of a drug test. That's what a fan of YouTube, and there was more evidence. Like there was a lot of actual evidence for why that theory was probable. And I think that she did actually end up getting to see her kid. So,
well, there you go.
Never get between a famous mother and their kid.
So I noticed with this article, it starts off just basic toxic gay masculinity, and then they very quickly threw white people into the mix here. If you look,
well, you have to. It's a requirement.
Yeah, it's pretty much a given now with SJWs.
If you're throwing men under the bus, you got to throw white people under the bus somehow.
Oh my god, you guys! I'm actually reading a Bell Hooks book currently.
I'm sorry.
I'm over halfway through it. It's like staring into the eyes of the devil. Like I've already used that metaphor.
Looking into the eye of Sauron.
Okay, this is dangerous. You're doing that, and I'm doing that mandatory sexual harassment training. My God, we are going to end up woke as fuck, aren't we?
Well, it's really, really messed up because okay, first of all, anybody that might ever tell you that Bell Hooks is like is like a reasonable feminist or like not a radical feminist and she cares about this bitch is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, radical fucking feminist, fucking insane. Like the only difference is that like she's slightly better at making it sound like she sort of cares about men. She's like, I want to save men from themselves. And that's like the only difference between her and Andrea Dworkin, basically. Because she fully admits that like within the first 20 pages, she admits that like her father, like, horrifically abused her physically when she was very small, and you can tell she's traumatized by it. And oh my god, so Bell Hooks was the intersectionality guru. She was the one that was kind of like that became the biggest singular talking point for like all oppression is connected, and she came up with I think it's the white heterosexual capitalistic patriarchy. And she's the one who use that phrase and insists on always using that phrase. And what's funny is that even in the book, she's like, and that's why I use the phrase the white cis. She doesn't say cis. She says the white heterosexual capitalistic patriarchy, because it's important to name it for exactly what it is. Sometimes when I deliver lectures, people actually laugh. And then I say, what's so funny? And then they can never answer, which shows just how deep the problem really is. It's like, no, girl. It shows that the problem is you. And it's just really funny because she absolutely makes no sense. But you look at these like feminist things and blah 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 blah. They got it from reading Bell Hooks' book, like this book and like some other books. I'm sure they're all the same because they're not even really books. They're just like they come across like diary entries. Like if you imagine some feminists just like rambling about the patriarchy and like changing the subject every paragraph or two, that's what it is.
These are the people that came up with lived experience so that they didn't have to document anything in their papers.
Yeah. Oh, and she's such a wacko that like she refers to statistics. Like she's like, there's been a recent study done that says that men lost the part of themselves that wishes they could cry by the time they are 14. It was something kind of like that, and she just sort of like throws it out there. She doesn't mention the study. She doesn't mention who conducted the study. She doesn't mention when it was conducted. She just refers to this alleged study, and we're supposed to just like take her word for it that it exists. And it's like, that's the level of bad author that this woman is. And yet, like, they were teaching Bell Hooks at my college when I went to university, and last decade. Well, and she's black, too.
Oh,
Like,
she's a black woman.
yeah, no, she's the like
The black woman.
She has been so oppressed that she can't even use capital letters, y'all.
she is the patron saint of intersectionality. There's two of them. There's
Does
Bell
she mean
Hooks,
the matron saint?
Bell Hooks and Bell Hooks and Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde was a little bit more of a novelist, and Bell Hooks was a little bit more of a theory writer. And they were basically, from what I can tell, you know, when feminists were really trying to do like figure out how they were going to power the whole like Marxist takeover of everything. They put all their bets in black women because they knew that if they can combine people's white guilt with their male guilt, then they could get everything they wanted. And so they published a whole bunch of books from Bell Hooks and Audre Lorde, even though they are atrocious authors. Like, both of them are just not good authors at all. But it was obviously people using them as useful idiots for their own like communist agenda.
You
Is
can't
what it
call
really.
a black woman an idiot. That's racist.
Yeah, especially one that was deeply like horrifically physically abused by their father.
Yeah, that sounds.
So what does that make Kimberly Crenshaw?
Oh,
Can she be like the crazy, holy man that says he speaks
I
directly
guess
to God,
Kimberly Crenshaw.
grasshoppers and shit?
Yeah, Kimberly Crenshaw and Patricia Hill Collins would be they're a little bit more academic. Bell Hooks was more
They're
of,
academia nuts.
yeah, Bell Hooks was
Oh,
more
God.
like Kimberly Crenshaw and Patricia Hill Collins were the ones who wrote the intersectionality book in 1989, and I think that was really the only real book that they wrote, and it was used as kind of like a manual for like how do we convince people that we're making sense. Whereas Bell Hooks wrote a bunch of books that were designed to actually be digestible to people that were potentially sympathetic to feminism. So she has like
12-year-olds.
well, no, because they're I don't know. I would say largely just like leftist people who legitimately do have a problem with men and masculinity. Like, I mean, the crap that she comes up with in this book, she's just making it up as she goes along. Like, all the ways in which she like tries to describe how men act and why men act the way that they do. Like, she acts like she's the oracle and that she understands literally every man. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, 9 times out of 10, the things that you're saying in this book are just flat out wrong. Like, you just don't understand how men work at all. And then the funniest thing is the only times that she gets anything right, usually it's when she's quoting a male author, or when she sometimes there was moments where she like talks about how feminists how the feminists themselves have responded to to basically this was in like the first chapter or so, and it was about how men have, patriarchy taught men to hide their feelings, blah 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 blah, right? And
Yeah. And she's all now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but isn't she also the same one that goes on and on and on about the importance and basically the precedence of lived experience?
Well, they all are, but okay.
I was going to say, what the hell does she know about what it's like to be a man?
Yeah, no, I know. Well, no, she knows everything because she's Bell Hooks. No, this is an actual crazy person. Like, seriously, all you have to do is read 5 pages. You can read the preface of the book that I'm reading is called "The Will to Change: Men, Love, and Masculinity," and this is the book where she tries to she's trying to meet men halfway and then pull them over to the feminist side. That's what she's trying to do with this book. And you can read the preface of it online, and you can tell after reading the preface that this is a crazy person. Like, she's absolutely batshit insane. And one of the funny things was there was this thing at the beginning where she's talking about how men have to learn to swallow their feelings and not show emotion because of patriarchy, and so it's feminists' job to try to get men to come out of their shell and admit to their feelings, blah 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 blah. And then she even goes on to admit openly, she's like, sometimes we've been successful in getting men to say how they really feel. And usually feminists don't really like it very much. They get really mad and call men man babies, you know? And it's like, oh, surprise, surprise. And she's like, yeah, it's kind of a problem. But then she doesn't have a solution to that, really. But she at least, it's like occasionally she'll get something right in that kind of a way. But she doesn't have any like, well, where do we go from here? You know, a solution. It's more just like, yeah, just so you know, if we actually accomplished what I'm asking for, we would have a whole new set of problems. Just so you know. Just so you know.
You know the old saying: when the gods want to punish us, they give us what we want.
So
do you guys
actually,
oh, never mind.
this article is the beginning of the article is actually kind of funny for me. I don't know if you guys have read the first paragraph or two where he talks about the coworker.
Who wants to read it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Use a porn voice, thank you.
I was going to use my shitty like twink voice, but okay.
Read it straightforward. You know, the gimmicky voices like are they can be cute for a moment if it's like a really like if it's like someone's tweets or something. But if it's an article, I think straightforward is better.
Okay. Anyways, when I was in graduate school, I worked part-time in retail. One of my coworkers, let's call him Jake, was a white gay man who lived to tell the stories about his various dating exploits each time we had a shift together. These conversations quickly went from amusing to problematic. Of course they did. Jake's tales frequently centered on his conservative rural upbringing, his love of black men, in part because of how masculine he thought they were, and how he didn't like guys who were too femme. How would your family react if you were dating someone who wasn't white? I asked, trying to make small talk with him during the lull between customers. That would never happen, Jake said. Black men are for fucking. White men are for bringing home to your family.
Because this sounds like a real person.
My family pick up their own tricks.
That's actually kind of
Did he
interesting
even
for me.
say it like that? Sorry.
Well, but the reason this is interesting for me is because I grew up in the South, and I'm attracted to black and white men equally. Honestly, the guy I'm dating or going on a date tomorrow is half black, half white, and 2 weeks ago it was another black guy. So usually I go back and forth, and my experience though has been black straight men tend to be more masculine, but black gay men tend to be far more feminine than white gay men on average.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if
that
this is a
is.
southern. I don't know if this is a southern thing, and I've wondered about it. If because
It's
a lot of
largely
black
universal.
because largely black culture tends to focus on hypermasculine things, which it's the sports stars, the rappers, whatnot. And I don't know if it's sort of the black gay culture is like it's trying to go the opposite direction because they're shunned because black culture tends to be a little bit more homophobic on average than white culture.
Okay,
Definitely.
I can say something about that because I've having lived in Seattle, not a whole lot of black people in Seattle, but there are black people in Seattle. It's not like Portland where there are no black people. Seattle has black people. There's bars that you used to be able to go to, and you would could easily see a good 30, 40 black males dancing to hip hop, and they're all gay. But like. And I would go to those sometimes. It was not my favorite place to go. I had this one friend who was a doorman who actually went to middle school with me, and he was a gay guy. And sometimes I would see him out in front of that place, and he would say hi to me, and we would talk, and then there'd be all the other guys, and sometimes there'd be like drama and fights and shit, like gay guys,
Weaves getting ripped and whatnot.
No, they didn't have no weaves. Like they were not fucking.
I know. I just had to say.
No. And the thing is, like, yeah, there's definitely the queens, like the ghetto queens, but there's also the as they I quote like when I went to a queer youth conference when I was 16 in San Francisco Bay Area. They had all these different workshops. Instead of a workshop, one of the options that you could do was go outside and play basketball. And it was just a group of black guys that were all totally ripped and they all took their shirts off. And then I was in this workshop called I'm Beautiful, Damn It. And it was about people like who have low self-esteem. And that's the one that I went to just because I was that kind of 16-year-old. And there was a bunch of like black queens in there. And they're like, well, in the black community, you know, there's like a few different types. Like there's transgender women, and then there's people like myself, and then there's the ghetto niggas, and they pointed out the window as the basketball players.
Oh, jeez.
And I think that there are those masculine black gay guys, but I think that the thing is that they just don't really make a big deal of coming out, like because they don't have to, and then they go on hookup apps and they have their shirt off and they have a six-pack and they send you a dick pic and they say, I'm DL, do you want to fuck? And they do, and they never tell their parents, is what I think.
Well, you do have those, but you do have a few that go out to the bars and they're quite open about it and they are masculine. But I'm just saying on average, I'm talking about averages. Mm-hmm. You have a percentage of the gay white population that is very femme, and then you have a percentage of the black gay population that's very femme. And I think the white population percentage is less than the black population percentage. But you do have both.
Yeah. And what it's just I'm saying it's just gonna be always hard to know because how many, black DL hookup application profiles where you can't see a face do you come across? You come across a lot.
Literally.
Oh god.
But no, if they are DL, that's not necessarily gay though. I mean, they could be, or they could just be horny. And it's easy to get hooked up with a guy.
I think usually they're gay.
They could be bi.
Could be, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the whole. On the one hand, there's part of me who's always been like, okay, well, like there are straight men who have sex with other men, and then I thought about it. I'm like, those are gay guys or bisexual guys. Because like a straight guy, by his definition, by the definition of being a straight guy, is not going to have sex with men. I mean,
have any of y'all had sex with a woman?
Hell no.
Once.
Oh, gold stars?
No. I in college I had, I guess, 1.5 sexual encounters with women because I was trying to prove something, and I'm the only gay man to ever go back into the closet. Pretty much ever, as far as I know.
I let a girl suck my dick, but there was 2 hot guys right there, one of which I was like making out with, and she had given me some adult themed party favors prior, so I figured I might as well.
Girls are really bad at giving blowjobs, in my experience.
Yeah, I just kind of like let her suck my dick while I was making out with a hot guy. I was like, okay, whatever.
I'm gold star, and that's coming from a guy that had a wife.
I thought you could only be gold star if your mom had a cesarean.
She did.
Oh, that's a platinum star.
Oh, okay.
Boom, bitches.
I don't understand the star system. So can we keep going with this bullshit?
Yeah. Let's go back to the.
Let's get to the cancer.
Okay. It shouldn't be surprised, but the frankness of his words stunned me into silence for the remainder of my shift. How do you do that when working in sales? I mean, seriously, just never mind. I'm not dissecting his stupidity. I later tried to make Jake aware of his racism, but he said that he had nothing to do with him. He couldn't possibly be racist because he was attracted to black men. Not long after I quit, in order to focus on my dissertation, Jake tried to reach out to me via social media. When I saw that his Instagram feed was comprised primarily of images of black muscular men, I declined to follow him back.
Okay. Am I the only one that's starting to believe that Jake actually does not exist?
Yeah.
No, Jake lives in Canada.
I assume Jake is as much a social construct as their conception of gender.
So, like, basically, this guy, Duncan Hall, like, he's just angry that he couldn't identify as Jake convincingly.
I don't know. Maybe this is his penance or his confession that he's putting public.
Yeah. Do you want to keep reading, or should I?
I'll keep reading. Jake's attitude are a microcosm of many toxic behaviors enacted by white, gay, cis. Oh, fuck, that's a lot. The adulation.
You notice they keep on adding more. At first, it was just gay, toxic masculinity. It was white gay, and now it's white gay cisgender. They keep on adding.
It's going to be white, gay, cisgender men with a slight limp in their left leg named Felipe next. So
yeah, well, because if you're an intersectional, it's gotten to the point where you being non-binary is a prerequisite for hanging out with them. Like, you have to identify as non-binary
At a minimum.
Yeah, like that's because well, no, that's sort of like if you're willing to like be, just biological and really a social denialist and pretend that you're non-binary, they know that you're already whipped and then they're fine with you.
Mm-hmm. All I'm going to say is if they get 5 of these like descriptor words in a row, I'm going to yell bingo. The adulation of conventional masculinity and muscularity. Muscularity is a word, never mind. The rejection of femininity as undesirable and the sexual objectification of Black and Latino. It's supposed to be Latinx, you stupid whore.
Yeah,
Man.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck him. Let's eat him alive anyway.
He's so not woke.
He's not woke enough. Let's eat him.
I'm vegan. How dare you try to make meat normative culture?
You have cats. You're not a vegan.
That's true.
I'm not a vegan. I just identify as one.
Suppose exhaustism and hypermasculinity. In light of the Pound Me Too movement and exposure of sexual violence and misconduct in Hollywood, the federal government, society at large, much attention has been directed towards the toxic behaviors exhibited by heterosexual men that contribute to a culture in which sexual violence occurs and misconduct thrives.
Where's that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Hollywood's a cesspit, but I don't know. Normal America doesn't have this issue as far as I know. Except for the odd person that's an asshole.
Thank you.
I wasn't really referring to you, but have you pounded any twos lately?
Well, no, but he is an odd asshole.
Thank you.
There has been little mainstream discussion on the ways white gay male culture in particular is rife with its own brand of toxic masculinity. Maybe that's because gay men at best are 5% of the population and no one gives a shit.
Oh god. I checked the profile. He is the attached to it. He looks like the kind of person that would spout this. He's just you can see the picture there. He's just like,
he's a soy boy.
Oh god, yeah, he reeks. I think if he urinates, Silk will pay him to bottle it.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. I just realized what you're talking about.
I'll just be over here traumatized if y'all need me.
I'm very good at that. Should we keep reading, or do you guys want to do something else?
I hate gay soy boys. Oh my god, I dated one for a year. I couldn't get rid of him.
Well, you know what the best way to get rid of a gay soy boy is to get a.
Let him read your fucking journal.
I was gonna say beat him senseless
with an AK-47.
I was gonna say beat him senseless with a frozen side of beef, but you can do that too.
No, I think what he did was he fucking went through my my notepad or like my documents on my laptop and saw me like saying some shit about him, like, because he was just so irritated. I didn't like him, and the thing is, like, I never did, and it was it was a really bad relationship, and I never wanted to be in. He was just kind of like a like one of those like lost puppies sort of a thing, and I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. And so I would like write shit about him on, back before I had my YouTube channel and I didn't have an outlet. And I think one day I was asleep and he was like in my room on my computer, and then I hear him like kind of slam my laptop shut, and he's like, I'm leaving. And then he left, and then he like kind of like broke up with me, which wasn't really possible because I was like, well, fine, I never wanted to fucking be your fucking boyfriend anyways. Just I didn't know how to get rid of you. But he like finally decided to leave at that point. And I'm pretty sure he read through something where I was talking about him.
Oh god.
Whoa.
That's the most spectacular, wonderful breakup story I've ever heard of.
That's bizarre, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bacon. Sorry, we keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
Yes, you do keep interrupting me.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. You're having a conversation with you is like herding cats.
I'm aptly named.
Still, the conversation is beginning to move in a positive way. Jacob Tobiah. By the way, Jacob Tobiah. I think I'm assuming everyone in chat knows.
No, just click on him. Click on him.
Yeah, Drunken Uncle actually did a really funny response to this dumbass. It was hilarious.
He's the one that looks like the Sketsy from kind of.
I was going to say an absolute train wreck. I don't think there's a picture of him. Is there a picture of him? Where is it?
He's one of these like non-binary people that they parade around, even though he never had any sort of career in media until he like became Mr. Non-binary.
Yeah,
Oh god, he's the horrible thing from like
the Dark Crystal.
No, he is a Skeksis, but he's also that horrible person from one of those BuzzFeed videos where he says he's non-binary, even though he like.
Oh my fucking god, that is so not his color.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what isn't his color?
He's definitely a winter.
Any color is not his color.
Well, the sad thing about him is that like he actually could be cute if he like applied himself and worked out and like didn't
stop wearing makeup and dresses.
He wouldn't ever be like hot probably, but he could
be cute if he'd apply some cold cream.
He could be okay looking.
Without the dress and the makeup, he could be what I refer to as bendable, but that's about it.
Well, it saddens me with guys like these because like when you look at these guys, and it's not like in my sphere on Facebook, you know, like all the different people that I'm connected to, I come across these type of guys, and it's like they've just thrown in the towel on being an attractive man, and they decided that they can just cheat and call themselves non-binary and call people bigots for not being attracted to them. And it's like, look, dude, you have to work at it. You have to work on being confident. You have to work out a little bit. You have to like actually have fashion sense. Like you don't get to just like raid your fucking dead aunt's closet. Like it's not easy, and it's not easy for girls either. You know, these fat lesbians that call themselves non-binary, they're never going to get laid either. If you want to hang out with them for the rest of your life, I'm sure they don't really have anyone else to hang out with either.
I love cats, but not that much.
But it's sad to me to see these guys that it's like, dude, you have potential.
Well, you know, nothing worthwhile is easy, and like you mentioned, you have to work out some. You know, I'd never joined a gym until I was in my 40s and had lost the weight. And it's not just a physical change. It's something that if I could only tell one thing to my younger self, it'd be join a gym, because it changes also your brain. It helps you think better. It helps relax you, calm you, and
it elevates your production of natural endorphins, which makes you less stressed.
And
also increases testosterone.
And you don't have to hold your breath when you're tying your shoes.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many benefits to it, and one of the problems with this author's mindset is he's so much about making people victims, and the thing is, you know, a lot of the things that will make these guys toxic in his mindset are actually things that would positively affect their lives.
Yeah,
and he's going in the opposite direction, pushing them into the victimhood mindset deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's not going to end well for anybody who follows his advice and his ideology. It's just going to make them resentful and, you know, depressed.
Absolutely. 110% agree.
All right.
Anyways, Jacob Tobiah in a recent New York Times op-ed critiqued the film Love, Simon for portraying its lead character as the right kind of gay, typically masculine and not flamboyant. Okay, seriously, when the fuck has there ever been a gay movie that's, besides Love, Simon, and maybe like one other, that's actually featured a non-flamboyant stereotype of a gay person as the air quotes main gay person? Seriously, do these people even live in the same fucking universe as me?
Well, we had a what was the Gregoraki movies from the early '90s, the Living End and Totally Fucked Up. Those were cool, but those were so edgy. Like those were really edgy. Like,
okay, do you really think this cunt is actually young enough, or is actually old enough to really remember any of
no,
that? I sure as hell don't.
he was probably not even born.
Yeah, I mean, like end of the '90s. This guy's probably like my age, so he's probably like 8 or 9 when the '90s ended. Like I was. Like
no, and those movies came out in the early '90s, like literally like 1990, 1991, 92 or so. Like the early Gregoraki movies, really early.
Yeah, this cunt was probably a fucking newborn when those came out.
Prince, you're the only one I know other than myself who's seen Totally Fucked Up.
Wasn't that a good movie? I mean, it's not something that holds up to this day. But like, when did you first watch it?
It was early '90s. I liked one of the characters, the main character. He was also in Independence Day. What's his name? You know, had the long black hair.
Oh,
like, American Indian.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I think I do know who you're talking about. I forget though. I don't remember that he was in Independence Day. But yeah, it was a
James Duvall.
It was everything you never saw in gay media. Was in that movie. Like all the shit that they wouldn't show that gay guys were like, because Greg Araki was like really gay and lived in LA, and he was like very unapologetic about being gritty gay underworld type, like alternative guys. All the guys in his movies were into like 9 Inch Nails and shit. Like,
oh man, I remember that.
Well, not just 9 Inch Nails, 9 Inch. Well, anyway.
That was like when I was
19,
20 years old. That was awesome.
Did you see the other one, The Living End?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that's worth watching.
I'll make a note.
Okay, where was I? In contrast to the character Ethan, a queer, black, gender non-conforming. Wait, is that 1, 2, 3? Shit. Ethan's story is underexplored, and as Tobias argues, his racial and gender nonconformity are present as a foil to Simon's average white masculinity, telling gay teens it's okay to be gay as long as you're gay in a respectable way. Fuck, seriously, the average, like, if I actually were fully like gay, I would be abnormal. Just saying that. I am fairly masculine. I would be the fucking abnormal one if you're actually supposed to listen to these dumb fucks talk about, oh, the media represents culture, everything's the same. You learn from this shit.
Yeah, well, anyway, I want to also chime in about that movie, Love, Simon. I fucking saw that movie in the movie theater with my fucking mother. Because my mother is one of the only people that will like force me to actually leave my house, and she's like, well, what do you want to do? Let's see a movie. Okay, what's playing? I don't fucking know. I don't know what any of these fucking movies are. Is there a Marvel movie out? Like, and there wasn't. And so she's like, well, there's this one about gay boys, and I was like, sure, sign me up. Let's go. Let's see it. Let's fucking see it. So we went and saw the movie. And even my mother, all the stories you've heard about my mother's, after it was over, she was like, that was the most PC movie I've ever seen in my life. And she was saying it as like kind of an insult. Like she was making fun of it because like all the characters, like about 75% of the characters are mixed race, and the guy that
it's not even a very big town.
Yeah, and the guy that ends up being his love interest is like
the one black guy.
He's half black, half Jewish, and yeah, but what was funny about it was that we go to the fucking theater, and like the prime audience for Love, Simon, at least at the theater that we were at, it was filled with teenage and probably preteen girls, and they were like the ones that were all cheering when he finally kissed the guy at the end, and they were like, oh, it's so cute, oh my god, and like, and so it's like you could sit here being like, oh, this movie sends messages to fucking 11-year-old white girls. That's who watch this shit.
Like, you know what's scary? In about 7 to 10 years, they're going to be filling gay bars.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're hags
Yes.
in training.
Yeah. Or like the only way I can describe Love, Simon, it's a well-written cash grab. It's just there. It's just there to check all the diversity boxes so they can rake in a lot of money. I don't think it did well, but relatively speaking, but it was just there to get money.
It'll probably do okay, like on the streaming market or something. But I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't. It was just, as you said, profoundly PC and rather predictable in a strange way, considering the whole thing is based on not knowing who his object of affection is. You know what I like?
thought that they had revealed, they reveal it earlier in the movie, and I'm like, oh, so that's him. And then they like have these other like decoy ones after, and I'm like, oh wait, so it is that first one, I guess. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what gay movie for kids I actually really liked was that that CGI one, that short one. Did you guys ever see that one?
No.
Oh god, what was
I
that?
know what you're talking about.
Oh god, what was that called? CGI. Gay.
So one thing that's kind of interesting is this mentions this is a New York Times op-ed, and you guys, I'm sure, heard about the latest New York Times op-ed editor that they added who hates white people.
Or she claims to hate white people in tweets.
Oh,
but
she flat out states it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she claims to in tweets, but she's some fucking upper middle class Asian woman, so she was probably just virtue signaling because that was how you got jobs in journalism. And I don't know when the tweets were from, but they were probably from like 6 years ago or so.
It was like 5, 6 years.
Yeah, if you wanted to get hired at a blog, talk a bunch of smack about white people on Twitter, they'll hire you at BuzzFeed. That's probably what she was doing. She probably only dates white men. So I don't think that she probably actually hates white people. She was playing into the media's hatred of white people, which is what most people are doing. That's why you hear white people talking about how much they hate white people. They don't. They're just feeling like they're supposed to say that because everyone else
Are these
does.
those same people that call us out for internalized homophobia when we don't do as, they say? So does this make that internalized racism?
Well, she's Asian. She can't actually be racist.
Well, no, I'm talking about the white people that bitch about white people.
Oh yeah.
Wait, I thought you couldn't be self-racist in any way, even if you're. Oh wait, no. Wait, does that double negative the racism away if you're a self-hating white person?
No,
I don't know. I think I lost about 6 brain cells just thinking about it.
Well, the answer with there's only one answer when it comes to white people: guilty.
Did you just have your brain damaged by a Q-tip?
You're not supposed to.
50% cotton my ass.
You're not supposed to clean your ears with those, let alone your brain.
Well, the power washer is broke.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, did you guys like my Q-tip video?
It was great.
I did like the Q-tip video, but
okay. Anyhow, let's keep reading.
But I disagree with Tobiah that Netflix's reboot of Queer Eye follows the same formula. In my opinion, Jonathan Van Ness, Queer Eye's grooming expert, I do not want to know what that even means.
We're going to teach you how to manscape today.
Oh, okay.
Get the weed eater out.
Not in the same way as it does in England with grooming gangs, I hope.
Oh, God. And an unabashedly femme gay man carries the show. In contrast to Van Ness's dynamic personality, his more masculine counterparts such as Anthony Borovsky and Caramel Brown. Carumo. Anyways, Carmel Brown recedes into the background.
Anthony Porowski is hot. He's one of those like ultra good looking guys that you can find him in like underwear ads. Like they literally made underwear ads after the Queer Eye guy, and I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine with it. And he's hung. Like he has a package too, just for the record. I'm mostly a top, but like it's fun to have something big to play with in my hand.
Especially when you have an oral fixation like I do.
Van Ness is
And we're walking.
Well, hey, you give me an awkward silence, I will fill it with mindless babble like this guy obviously did. Anyways, wait, can I call him a guy? Did I just assume his gender? Never mind. Van Ness's expression of gayness is depicted as equally valid, not as a trope to highlight normative masculinity. My brain's starting to break. Can someone take over?
Sure. Or here, Farrell, do you want to do it?
Yep. Van Ness's expression of gayness is depicted as equally valid, not as a trope to highlight normative masculinity. Queer Eye has its problems, but foregrounding a gay man like Van Ness is a welcome change to the mainstream media's typical representations of respectably masculine gay men. However, Van Ness' popularity is the exception that proves the rule.
Wait, how does the exception? Oh, because he's the only one allegedly. That's so. Wait, I want to because I don't even know who fucking Van Ness is. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to be like familiar with him as if he's like fucking Morrissey or something. Like, I don't know who this guy is.
I love how when gay guys were only portrayed as super flamboyant, like, oh my gods, like, with glitter and dildos everywhere, we were all upset because, it was such a stereotype, we're not all that way. And now that we're getting, and it used to be something to celebrate when gay guys were just, guys, just, there. And now we're actually in this article complaining that they're just guys. They're like, why are you shaming the ones that aren't like that? It's like there's literally no pleasing these people at all.
No, of course, keep in mind who we ran off back in the 60s, and now look who's banging down our doors now. I will not discuss that disgusting group, though. So, gay male toxicity contributes both to the oppression of queer men and to the pervasive culture of violence against women, particularly any who are feminine, people of color, and or trans, because of course, and anyone outside of the gender binary. If we're serious about eradicating
women outside the gender binary, we have just included women where gay men are.
Hey, how does gay male toxicity contribute to violence against women? I mean,
they're going to tell. I'm sure.
The hell out of a bitch with them shoes.
I'm sure he's going to have a perfectly logical explanation. Just wait and see.
I guess they're saying because it's anti-feminine or something.
I don't know. The thing is, doesn't the non-binary, doesn't that like eradicate the whole existence of the women anyhow? So what's the fucking point?
None of this has any point, but we have to finish it just to see what the hell happens at the end of it.
Yeah, you don't get this close to the train wreck. Particularly any who are feminine, people of color, and or trans, and anyone outside of the gender binary. If we're serious about eradicating sexual violence in all its forms, then we must move beyond discussions of toxic masculinity that center heterosexuality and work to name and uproot the toxic behaviors of both dominant and marginalized men alike.
Except for that woman on man violence, that can happen.
Pardon?
Is that the last?
Oh God, no! This bullshit keeps going on for a while. Can we just skip to the last segment and just kind of?
Well, that or there's Plan B. Every time we hear problematic or toxic, drink.
Is there an explanation about how it is allegedly harming? Like, how does gay guys being gay with other gay guys and having their little preferences and being toxic masculine? How does this harm women? Like is there? Do they just throw that out there, or is there even an attempt to justify it? I am curious.
I'm going to assume that it's because it deprives them of a dancing monkey fashion accessory.
I was just going to assume because a lot of men together will exclude the women.
Yeah, because we're talking about guy shit.
Yeah,
I assume what they're talking about is there's this myth that I don't remember ever seeing in over 20 years of clubbing at gay bars, that gay men like to grab straight women at the gay bar. And
dude, I can fix this.
Opposite way around. What's the other way around? The straight women will grab the gay men.
But
gay men, we try to freaking avoid the straight women by and large.
One time there was a drunken straight woman. I think she was part of a bachelorette party, ironically enough, at the gay bar near where I live, and there weren't a whole lot of people there, and she was dancing near us. My husband and I, we were in a booth, and she really, really, really wanted to dance with everyone, and she basically wouldn't take no for an answer. And I begrudgingly danced with her because she wasn't leaving alone. And then she tried to force my husband to dance, and he kept saying, no, I'm disabled, I'll fall, no. And she barely got the hint. Can you imagine if a man did that to a woman?
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm thinking my prediction for how he's gonna spin it to make it sound like gay men's supposed toxic masculinity is harmful to women is that the behavior that masculine guys exhibit towards femme guys is objectifying or dismissive and belittling, and also when gay men engage in sexually aggressive behavior, that reinforces that goes in to reinforce objectification in general, which somehow can rub off onto straight guys. Because when you go into a gay bar and guys are like grabbing each other's asses, then sometimes straight guys go into and they get some bright ideas and they're thinking, "Oh, those gay guys are grabbing each other's asses. Maybe I
Is
can
that
grab."
what we're rubbing off on the straight guys?
Like, well, clearly misogyny. I think it's
We
clear.
basically, long story short, we teach straight guys how to grab asses.
You see, I thought
Because they
the
don't know how
answer.
to do it naturally.
I thought that the answer was that misogyny was like radiation. The more you're exposed to it, the more it spreads.
Nice. The
Okay.
phrase toxic masculinity, oft-cited in social justice circles, originates from the work of psychiatrist Terry A. Coopers. Though Cooper's focus is on how the so-called toxic expressions of masculinity impact men's mental health outcomes in prison settings, scholars and activists have found his concept more broadly applicable, particularly as a way to describe how masculinity fosters a culture rife with sexual violence.
So I'm assuming they're going to go at if there's a lot of men together, they're going to be sexually violent, and gay men only want other men, ergo sexual violence.
Well, there's one little sentence in there, if you'll scroll up just a sec, it's the next one just above that really says it all about them finding that it was useful in situations that were more broadly applicable. Meaning, scholars and activists have found his concept more broadly applicable. Meaning, in a totally different context from the way the author is describing it.
I don't even understand what that means.
Basically, they took it out of context and decided to start using it there too because it was handy to their narrative.
And this is a defense of it by outright saying it.
Yeah, because
everything is it's all in the way you phrase it.
Phrasing.
Because remember, activists are more legitimate than your average researcher.
Well, yeah, they know more about being guys.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they do.
All expressions of masculinity are not inherently toxic. Just
shocking.
the ones
I call
we
bullshit.
approve of.
I call bullshit on their on that viewpoint of theirs, but whatever.
Yeah. Coopers differentiates between what we might refer to as typical masculinity, the dominant or normal notion of masculinity within a particular context that stipulates what it means to be a real man, and certain aspects of masculinity that have socially harmful or toxic effects. Toxic masculinity, he explains, is the constellation of socially regressive male traits that serve to foster domination, the devaluation of women, homophobia, and wanton violence. In other words, toxic masculinity embodies a constellation, again, of the worst aspects of masculinity as a whole. Why are we destroying wontons? The soup is good.
What do wontons have to do with this?
Okay,
I don't
hold
know.
on, guys. I'll be back in a
Never
second.
Chinese restaurants.
So I wonder if some of the people that are that go on about toxic masculinity believe there's such a thing, a counterpart, toxic femininity.
They actively say that it's a myth.
Because
like
I don't see how you
could
can have one without the other.
The left does this all the time. There is no toxic femininity if you ask them, just like there's no alt left. But there are only negatives, there are no positives, and vice versa.
And like no non-white racism or
It's about picking sides and not about being consistent. I mean, they don't even believe in objective truth, so how on earth could they believe in consistency?
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. So have we ingested enough of this cancer, or does someone else want to read a different piece?
Well, I'm doing a shot of whiskey, so hold on a moment.
I miss alcohol. I haven't had.
I need to go vomit, but aside from that, I'm fine.
I haven't had a significant amount to drink in 2 months, probably. I've lost like
I
20.
can't even remember last time I drank.
No, I'm doing it strictly for effect. I've lost 20 pounds, which is disturbing because that means I was drinking way too much. That's the only thing I've really changed about my diet.
Alcohol is all
So
sugar,
now
pretty
you
much.
no longer have to present your ID to get groceries.
Yeah, funny that.
I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress. Okay, so more flaming hot garbage.
Well, something flaming and hot just went down my throat, so sure.
Oh,
Fireball?
you have company?
Oh well, you got a brother?
No, my brother's name is Bullet Rye Whiskey.
Whiskey. I miss my Russian foreign exchange student vodka.
Vodka.
Hey, us Poles claim the creation of vodka. Screw you, Russia.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, just with
Well,
it.
Actually, I'm if I'm anything, I'm descendant of Ukrainians, so they don't really get to claim anything. Although I'm sure they claim they invented it too. Everyone, just like every Asian.
I'm a
culture,
quarter Russian bot. Okay, all right, y'all caught me.
I'm a quarter Polish, and the only thing Ukraine can claim historically is getting overrun by its neighbors.
Yeah, well, then that's something that they have in common with Poland. Yeah, just like every Asian culture claims that they invented the noodle. Like, it's just there's some things that everyone thinks that they invented or want to say that they invented or perfected or whatever. That was my contribution. What else?
That's armament says it's reskinned Marxism. Only the equivalent of the proletariat is considered the good guys, while the equivalent of the bourgeoisie are always in the wrong. Ain't that the truth? Actually, I don't know if it's reskinned Marxism. Maybe it's even Marxism that, it's killed and, stolen the skin off of and is parading around trying to be it. Just really creepy serial killer type stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I have no idea really what entirely to make of intersectionality as a concept, because I think it's more it's the awkward puritanical urge that people have basically had since feminism's gotten going, and they've basically just bolted Marxism onto the side just to have something. I don't know why, but they just do.
Well, I think the books do have their purpose, though. Mm-hmm. Remember earlier when we were discussing outhouses?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't make Sears catalogs anymore.
And where do you think Costco gets all its toilet paper from? Well, that and the diplomas from gender study graduates.
As a gender studies graduate, I have to say I'm deeply insulted, Cats.
Good.
You know what? I identify as someone that you can't insult.
I identify as one of those butchered degrees, so can you please throw me some shackles?
Yeah, like a communication major.
Hey, at least I got a business degree. I didn't get some stupid communications degree.
Okay, it's not a business degree when you're hooking on the streets. I know they say it's the oldest profession in the world, but that's not actually a degree.
Hey, I am a slut, not a whore.
Politics is the second oldest profession. It's very closely related to the first.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's not really any difference. I think it's sort of like saying that there's this hard separation between oranges and orange juice.
Oh. Now, y'all look at the chat and look what you've done. Heaven Colley says she identifies as a gender studies diploma. Have some tact.
Well, if you're a gender studies diploma, then you don't want tax because that's going to go straight through you.
This is true.
And if you're a libertarian, you don't want taxes because those are going to make you scream.
What exactly doesn't make a libertarian scream?
I don't know. The libertarianism to me basically boils down to, the government did a thing. Read! That's basically libertarianism.
I really think that there are people that were attacked by roads as a child.
Which also, by the way, those also hurt women somehow.
Well, you remember the Swedish, the Swedish feminist government?
Yes.
No, you remember the Swedish feminist government that literally was saying that like women were being affected by snowplow routines, so they redrew the pathways of the snowplows so that they would benefit women somehow, and it actually made everything 100% worse. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, because I remember like the town that actually did, air quotes, feminist snowballing only had like 2 main roads, so it didn't really matter which one they did first.
Yeah, and when they tried to do it in Stockholm, which is a huge major city, it just oh god.
Failed.
One of these days, I keep having sporadic conversations with this really interesting Swedish guy named. He keeps saying he's going to make YouTube videos, and I've recorded some conversations with him. I just need to use them. But yeah, Nefantis,
creepy match.
he's super interesting. Like, no, I asked him for some stories about his experience working as a gay charity worker in not for the UN, but for like the Swedish government with refugees, and like how screwed up the gay movement, the LGBT movement in Sweden is. He's a super interesting person, but he's in Sweden, so he's in the weirdest time zone in the world, and he lives out in the country, so he has like I don't know if it's even dial-up, like it's on his cell phone or nothing. So I only get to talk to him when he's in the library.
Yeah, Sweden. They're like 9 hours ahead of us, aren't they?
It's like 10 or something, I think. It depends how far, like he's really far north, if I recall, so that makes it even worse.
I don't know, does that add a time zone? I thought it only was east to west.
Well, it seems to for him, I don't know. Maybe it's just the hours that I happen to be talking to him, because I'll be talking to him at like 9 in the morning here, and it'll be like midnight in Sweden.
Yeah, that's weird. Hold on, I'm pulling up a map. Yeah, Sweden, I think, is the same time zone as Germany, so it's 9 hours.
Okay. Well, what does someone else want to talk about, or do I need to look for more cancer for us to talk about?
I don't know. Does anyone have a topic you want to bring up? Because I don't want to dig through.
Did you send me there? I think Ponta sent me. He's not here. There's that guy Chadwick Moore. Got himself kicked off of Grindr. But I think we talked about it a little bit.
We talked about that last week with the.
Yeah, well, he wrote an article for Dangerous about it. And I actually just made my Grindr video at long last. But it's probably just one of many, because I have a feeling that Grindr is going down. Not one of many, but there will probably be an update. And I was thinking of doing an entire video devoted to Chadwick, but I was wanting to make this one on just the first video is the angle from that this is how the SJWs are going to attack the platform, but I'm going to see where Chadwick goes with his thing, because I don't really know what direction he's going.
I was reading about Grindr. Did you know that they have been bought entirely now? They used to be just partly owned, but now they've been entirely owned by a Chinese company. No. Yeah, I forget who. It's like someone who, I think they do game development or something. So that's going to be very interesting. Like, I wonder if it has anything to do with the move towards like social media, like trying to make Grindr into an actual social media platform, or if those are the hangers on that are going to get purged, because we all know what the Chinese think of what are they not Lawa oh god, where's Spaceman when you need him? The what do they call it? Like white
Botswa?
Botswa, yeah. Botswa? Yeah, anyway, white left. Yeah. Like, so I really don't see a Chinese company being willing to do the whole like get woke, go broke thing. So
I think that what it probably is that the company Grindr was probably losing money for a long time, and they sold it to some stupid ass Chinese guys who are trying, because Chinese investors will buy like they invest in American property and in American companies without even expecting to get a return on their investment, and it's just a way for them to hide their money. Because then they don't have to pay money to the government, and so they might own it for a while, sell it. This is probably already just signs that Grindr's over.
That makes sense. Well, maybe Scruff will finally get good.
Scruff is actually pretty good. I think.
Is it? It's not around here.
I think it as far as I know about Scruff, because I use it sometimes. it depends a lot on who you're around. Like around San Francisco or where I guess me and Cats live, it really sucks. It's really underused.
Well, it's basically all the same people that are on Grinder. Like,
Thank you.
and like, well, in our case, like they're like identical profiles. Usually, it's like you go on Grinder where I live in the East Bay, and it's like, okay, here's like 22 guys, yuck, 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 maybe, whatever, and then you go on Scruff, and it's like it's the exact same 22 guys.
Well, it's kind of like that here, but the profiles are completely different. On one of them, they'll be married, and on the download, the other one, yeah. The other one is basically a go-go dancer, and I'm like, which of you is this,
One of these things is not like the other.
One of these things just doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm. You know what the answer to that is? Illegal immigrants.
Honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb and say if illegal immigrants were running any of this shit, it would probably be a lot better run than with the SJWs having their bitching. Because they get told to fuck right off because illegal immigrants like money. I should know because I can set it from them.
Yeah, I don't know what there doesn't seem to be any coherent goal behind what Grindr is trying to do. Because I mean, like you read about the Israeli dude who's kind of hot who started it. I forget his name, and yeah,
he's a dick.
Well, I mean, he's hot for an app person. Let's put it that way. But and as far as I know, he didn't actually. I don't think he knew much about technology. He basically just wanted something to help him hook up, and he had the money somehow to get it started, and it was like a thing, and it was really cool for a while. But they've never. The biggest problem with Grindr is they never invested in making the app actually like functional, and because it crashes all the time, it uses a ton of battery life, and now it's been completely overrun by bots. And now then when they complete, that was bad enough. And then when they added all of the transgender people and now the women are on there, so it's like, okay, what exactly is the point of this thing anymore?
Anybody know if Grindr has a limit to the number of people you can block on Grindr? Because the second I see a woman or a trans, I block.
It does. You have to get Grindr Extra to have unlimited blocks.
That is fucking silly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to have my whole I'd have to have my own damn server just to keep up with all the fucking blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Like block, move bitch in the way.
Yeah, that's why I like Tinder better because they limit my number of swipes now, but at least I can tell people no. I don't want to deal with you. Like, I know another thing that always weirds me out about Tinder is every day I go on there is at least 3 women looking for a gay best friend on there. I'm like, what the fuck, ladies? This is for sex, not for you to get your new gay best friend, fucking fashion accessory to take you to fucking Macy's.
Although, to be fair, the twinks are just as bad on Grindr, since half of them are like, okay, I'm 18 years old. I'm not here to hook up. Like, I don't, like, if you're over 19, don't talk to me. Like,
those are the ones that hit me up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should just be kicked off the fucking platform. Like,
they should be kicked. Like,
or they'll start bitching, that they just want a relationship. They're not here to hook up. I'm like, dude, you just sent me fucking nudes. All right. Make up your mind. This is not how we shake hands.
Yeah, I know. Like another issue that I have with like the dating someone under 21 is like, yeah. A lot of them are like, oh, I want this long-term relationship. It's like, yeah, no one like in the 18 to 25 demographic wants that. I'm sorry.
That's what I tell them. I'm all for that. Come back after your balls drop.
Yeah, I'm very much. If you're not old enough to drink or will be in the next 3 months, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to deal with I'm just newly out. And my parents kind of aren't okay with it yet. I don't want to be the semi-cradle robbing new dating whatever. That's, fucking their kid for the first time. I don't want to deal with that.
Oh, now the funniest is the, 18, 19-year-olds that try to hit on an older guy, me, and have, no game whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
That is priceless. One of them's like, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, age difference, I don't think it's going to work out too well. Trying to be polite about it. He's like, no, I really like old guys. I'm like, you just sold it, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the best way to get someone is to say, I'm really into older men. I gave up on Grindr even. I mean, it was bad enough when the platform like officially started shooting itself in the foot with all of this like gender diversification. Like, to be perfectly honest though, even without that, there are so many flaky guys, at least in my area on Grindr. It just became more cost effective in terms of time, energy, and emotional satisfaction to just go to Steamworks and like go in the hot tub and wait. It's like at that point, even if like I don't get lucky, I just, at least that way I get to relax in the sauna. Like, so, and plus the view is great too.
As someone who's actually used Grindr in different countries and in different states within the U.S., Grindr is always going to be the bottom of the barrel, no matter where you are. I'm just going to straight out say that.
It seems to be.
Yeah, when Steamworks is like
the preferable option,
the second crush of the grapes or whatever.
it's just, you know, to be perfectly honest, like I think I've said it before, like I just find that Steamworks, and if I ever go to the Watermark, whatever that place in San Jose is, which is supposed to be more like a resort, I'll let you know about that. But yeah, Steamworks kind of to me embodies like gay culture in its purest form, because it's literally just a parade of flesh with techno music and everyone sizing each other up. And
oh, that's right. Yeah, they always play music. I've never been to a Steamworks, I don't think. But I have friends who like DJ at them.
Oh, you should go. I mean, honest to God, like it's, even if you go there without the intention of hooking up, it's really like, it's pretty cheap.
What's the bathhouse on? It's not on Mission, but it's like
Power Exchange or something.
I know it's one by like right by the Safeway. That's
I've
Mission.
never
Okay,
been to San Francisco.
I think it might be. I think it's like it might be called Eros or something. That was right by me, and I went in that one once or twice. And there's some other ones, but like the thing is about San Francisco is that like there isn't really all that many great reasons to go to a sex club if you are really like privy to the San Francisco
elite
gay underworld. Like, you know, I was a fucking ranking officer in the gay underworld in San Francisco, so I had no real, it's like, why go to one of these places? Like, I know what bars I can go if I fucking want to watch someone get a free blowjob. I don't have to pay to get in there. They let me in the fucking front door for free, no cover. Granted, you know, costs other people $5. And if I want to go to a sex party where, you know, it's going to be like 10 times as fun, there will be one or two of those a month, which I will always know about. So yeah, I just never really go.
But do they have a hot tub there?
I did not go to hot tubs that often.
To me,
I can't even think of, now that I'm thinking about it, I think there was like probably like two or three times I ever really ended up in hot tubs in San Francisco.
I'll be perfectly honest. There have been many times where I've gone to Steamworks, not even with the pure intention of hooking up, but just like, oh my God, I've had such a shitty day at work. Like, I think I just want to sit in a hot tub and look at big dicks walking in front of me for a while. Because the hot tub is directly in front of the showers, so it's and there's glass everywhere. So there are plenty of people who are not shy, and it's lovely.
I can agree with you that on the hot tubs, cats. I can agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing better than at the end of a long day than sitting in a hot tub, especially if there's like great music. And like I said, large penises are a benefit, not a requirement. But
yeah, when I lived with my dad, we had a hot tub for a short period of time.
I grew up with one, but I haven't had one in years. Though if I could afford it, I'd put one in my backyard. But they're so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the water rations now.
Oh my God!
We're still rationing water.
Oh, we're never going to stop. The state's just mandated that we never stop.
Oh yeah, they passed this crazy law that what's his name signed, which I hope to God someone challenges. But they're saying that like in like a few years they're going to have this limit of water, like something like 200 gallons of water per household or something per day. So like essentially you would have to choose whether you were going to wash your dishes or take a shower.
Wait, 200 gallons a year?
No, per day.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the exact number was, but it was it was framed as like you would literally have to choose between showering and doing your dishes. Like that's how little water would be allocated per household.
Yeah, that's the thing that annoys me about California and the government here. It allocates resources based on the population density of like San Francisco, but none of the state exists like outside of San Francisco really exists anywhere near that. So it's like, yeah, a household can survive on 200 gallons a day, but you have to be like in like a 5-story fucking building with no backyard to make that work, and like not really do laundry and like have the ability to go to a laundromat.
And it does not work for families at all. And you know how little I tend to advocate for people with children, but seriously, like it will not work if you have children. There's just no way. And the fines that they propose would be like outrageous, something like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per violation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like another thing that I just getting into water issues. Like literally, we can have like 4 desalination plants provide all like at least the Bay Area with water, but we won't fucking do it because God forbid we have desalinated water because more people might move here.
We don't even have rain reclamation facilities. I mean, we have the same. It's lovely how California presents itself as the tech center of the universe, and yes, there's a lot of incredibly sophisticated technology companies here, but the state infrastructure is like barely struggling to get out of the 40s. Like our dams, many of the dams and levees were built by the Chinese back in the gold rush. But although ironically, they did better work then than they're doing now.
Like another thing that also pisses me off about this state is like how anti-nuclear everyone is. It's like,
oh, I know.
Well, it'll never. I'm sorry, but solar and wind's never gonna fucking work. I am sorry to break that to you. That's peak load power, nothing more.
I think that it's a good thing to have. I have solar panels on my house. I wish I didn't because I didn't realize that I was buying them outright as opposed to, so now my mortgage doubled since I financed it that way. But whatever, in California, having solar panels is a good thing for your house. I think it's a good thing to have solar panels and things like that to, as a supplement to existing energy. But yeah, if we had nuclear power, it would make so much more sense.
I was watching this one thing, like comparing Germany to France. Germany is doing the same stupid fucked up thing that we as a country are doing with our energy grid, or at least were until Trump got in. Their energy costs twice as much as it does in France, and France is like 70% nuclear.
Funny that.
Yeah, I know. Funny that. It's like France has like the cheapest power in Europe, and they're mostly nuclear. Why doesn't anyone else do that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because some stupid fucking green tards are like, oh, we can't have nuclear because of the waste. Never mind the tons that you're dumping into the rivers to make fucking solar panels in China. But
not to mention the waste itself can be used. I mean, there are some variants of nuclear power we don't nearly have it refined to the point where it's viable, but there is a possibility of using thorium reactions.
Yeah, I mean, those are like, a few years away from possibly working. I know the Chinese are dumping billions into getting it working.
And that takes care of the waste right there.
Yep, it'll eat its own waste.
Not to mention, even without dealing with that, the fact of the matter is that it's just a more efficient, less wasteful form of energy. It can go on potentially forever. It's not weather dependent, and it is just more. The yield is so much higher because solar is great for like a house or a camp yard, but you cannot power a city that way without basically covering the entire state with solar panels, and they don't even last more than 10 years, most of them. Anyway, this has turned into a science podcast.
Nerds.
Okay, can anyone take a phallus into this before we get too far down the nerd path?
Solar panels are bad for your penis.
Actually, I gotta be heading out. It's after 1 a.m. and I've been up since 6. So,
okay, well, it was great to have you on, man.
It was great to be back on. I liked it a lot.
Definitely.
Come back again, Junior Gigtown.
Okay, I'll see y'all later.
Have a good sleep well.
All right, now that he's gone, we have to speak all kinds of ill about him.
Let's talk some shit, yo.
Oh god, I'm too drunk for that. Please.
All right, well, get drunker so we can talk shit about you while you're still here, and you won't realize
You
that we're
ain't got to be
doing
drunk
it.
for that. We do it anyway.
That's
I
true.
don't know. I'm fine with it. Oh wait, are we starting one of your videos now, Cats?
Oh my god! I actually, if I hadn't gotten so busy today, I started writing a script for an original video again. Finally, it's been how long now? And I also did finally start editing part 2 of Pink Dollars. Like that'll take a little while still.
What is the subject of Pink Dollars Part 2?
Well, because the part 1 was just the primer of the history.
Yeah.
Part 2 is a list of actual organizations in the Bay Area and what they spend their money on.
Okay, that's cool. Because I was actually talking about your video in on my AM radio appearance tonight.
Oh, cool! Thank you.
Yeah, because they were. I think they asked me about lesbian feminists' involvement with the gay male community, and I was like, yeah, I've tried to research like just how many lesbians there really were, and I found like 1 or 2 notable ones, but I can't say I researched really all that hard. But if there is this like really big pool of like many lesbians that did many great things for gay men, I couldn't really find any easy to find evidence of it. My friends did a lot of research around who founded all the organizations, and it's all men.
Yeah, like I actually dug into the whole lesbians did all the work during the HIV epidemic. I spent like a good 2-3 hours digging into that. I found like 1 Vice article mentioning what lesbians did.
Yeah, me too.
1.
And that's what I found. And the thing was, it was like 1 woman, and I didn't. It's like, okay, if there was a lot, like they would be able to find a few others, right?
Yeah.
And there was also a recent I don't remember what publication this was. I don't remember. But it was something like Vice or something. And they wrote a story about a woman who it was like, meet the woman who cared for over 75 men who died of AIDS. And she was some lady that was like a nurse, and like I think the doctor she was working for like wouldn't touch one of the patients, and she was like, that's not cool. So she started her own practice of like dying guys or some shit like that,
a hospice.
Yeah, some sort of like hospice that she started, and she had to actually bury a number of them herself because like funeral homes wouldn't touch HIV infected people. But I tried to research the lady, and it looked like she was a fucking Christian. I don't think that she was a feminist. I think she was a Christian conservative woman.
I'm trying to convince one of the ladies that I take care of right now. She worked in various government positions back in the 80s, and she was at UCSF during the epidemic, and she knows Nancy Pelosi and a bunch of these people, and she's got so many really interesting stories. So I'm hoping that she'll let me that I can convince her to let me record an interview with her, because she was talking about how they were developing the protocols, how they were trying to figure out what the hell is this disease, like how can we treat it, how can we treat these people without ourselves getting sick. And it's funny, she watched Pink Dollars with me and it was very, very interesting because she had personal experience with a lot of the groups that we were talking about. Like, she did not like, for instance, Bacon, what were the 2 early groups that we talked in the very beginning? There was what was the more radical group that the second group broke away from?
Fuck me. I just know that they were SJWs of some.
Was it ACT UP, the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power?
No, that was the '80s one. There was one in the '60s that was basically SJWs. I don't remember what they were called.
The Liberation Front or something.
Yeah, like Gay Liberation Front I think is what they were called, or the Queer Liberation Front, or some bullshit like that.
The Gay Liberation. She was talking about they were terrible. They used to like they were basically not well. Some of them were blowing things up, but like they were setting fires. They were making all kinds of noise when people were trying to do actual work to help. It was really interesting to hear her talk about it.
Oh.
She'll never come on here, of course, but it would be very interesting if I could get. She's not a social justice person at all. She's
you know who actually. Oh.
No, go ahead.
You know who actually told me a kind of an interesting story about like old school, like some sort of activism. You know, back in
the way
back in the back days.
Back when I was young.
No, I think this is probably in the early '90s or so, back when the religious right was still attacking the gays, and that guy. Do you guys know who Kizum Fowler is?
Why does that sound so familiar?
He's this gay YouTuber who like doesn't really get any views. He's in his 50s or so, and he has a long beard.
I know who you're talking about now. He's one of your followers. I think he followed one of my channels.
Yeah, he actually used to patron me, and I don't like to like hate on him. He gets weird with me though. Like he like 1 week wants to like me, and then the next week is like mad at me because of like one like word that I mentioned in my video that he thinks I shouldn't have said or something. Like it's very like, okay, dude, like I can't, like, okay, any chance that we were gonna be friends is over, because like I stopped having friends that like flipped out on me in my early 30s, and I will never go back to that life. I served my time. I ain't going back. Like I don't do that. So, but when I was kind of friends with him, because we did like probably 2 streams with each other, and maybe just one, I don't really remember. But one of the things that happened was that he said that he was doing early AIDS activism, and the religious right was like trying to change some sort of a law, and maybe it wasn't having anything to do with AIDS. I'm not really sure, but it was a law that like the legal wording was very particular, and the people who were supporting this bill, to change the law or whatever, didn't really realize what it would actually do to gay people in the gay male community. And so he and some other people went in to a meeting for the people that were advocating for this bill, and they were there trying to actually like explain why what they were pushing, or like why to the crowd, like why what they were supporting was actually bad, and like in effect this will take away gay people's rights. And you think that it's some sort of rights for medical workers or rights for religious people, but it really actually will, in fact, it's not going to give them anything. It's just going to take away things from gay. And they were starting to convince them. He said this is what his version of the story, at least. They were starting to convince them. It was going all right, and then all of a sudden the act up motherfuckers burst open the door and chant shame, shame, like it's Game of Thrones, and they walk around the room stomping, going shame, 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 and then it was over, and they did not have a productive discussion from that point onward.
Yeah, I think that nominates them for the You're Not Helping award.
I often mention there was a study done somewhere. I promise it actually exists, but they found that people would accept the same information if you had 2 groups, if you had 2 people saying the same information, but in one version that person was perceived to be an activist, even if they said it the same way they did, giving the exact same facts, if they were coming across in a way that made people think they were an activist, the same information was not effective. People do not like to be intellectually manhandled. They don't like to be told what to believe, what they are doing, or what it means. You need to just have real, genuine conversations with people, or it's not going to work.
But we don't get off, on our power trips, if we do that with people.
Yeah. Well, if the goal is to actually accomplish something, then you definitely shouldn't become an activist.
Nah.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I always had when I did air quotes activism in college is when we would go in and talk to like legislators or whatever. It's like just talk like you would a normal person, like say like this is what's going on in my life. This is how whatever would help. Not be like like listing off a list of facts and trying to like threatening to shame them, which is what some people at my university would try to do. These are
That always works.
Yeah, this is what I'm referring to as the wannabe evergreen crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a friend who is trans and is like centrist, like centrist or whatever. And he's like, yeah, he said something not kosher on the Diversity Center's Twitter feed. And they actually found his private email, emailed him, and like we're trying to get him to come in for what would have been in more or less inquisition. And he basically just ignored them after that. And didn't even dignify them with a response. And I'm like, I would have responded saying, I'm not going to come to my own fucking inquisition. You can shove it. Because I'm just more of a cunt like that.
What worries me about the whole, SJW is co-opting our movement. I mean, the thing is, I really think that they're working their damnedest to undo all the hard work that we've done over the past 30 years.
Well, they're the Thanos of the LGBT movement. Just one snap and 30 years of progress gets set halfway back.
Well, in that case, can I fist them with a power gauntlet or what?
No, hey, don't kink shame them.
Wait, they're church ladies.
That was my kink. Where are you kink shaming me?
They're church ladies. They don't want sex. They want to be, I don't know, shaming people while they're not having sex because
judgmental and blue-haired. But I think Prince was going to say something.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Quit putting things in his mouth, like your words.
Well, they're only little words.
Words are a phallic construct. God damn.
It's a phallic construct of the estrogen-denying heteronormative system of cisgender cisterns.
Hey, patriarchy bingo. We've actually got it and the writer didn't do it. Woo.
Whoa.
Transgender Nazi Eskimo hookers kidnapped by UFOs and forced into weight loss programs.
Oh, wow, that's like Auschwitz for SJW people.
Is that a fat camp of tolerance?
That's such fat shaming.
This one time at fat camp.
So I am considering it does seem to be the case that we're sort of trailing off and just kind of not really talking about that much anymore. And I've been streaming for a really long time because I was just on the Maga One radio thing. So I would you guys can keep going, but I'm thinking I'm going to take off.
I think we're kind of repeating ourselves. The chat is telling us to go away now. So
okay.
I think we're kind of repeating ourselves.
Definitely.
Okay.
Wait, chat's telling us to fuck off. Well, I can love them.
It's been great, everybody. And we've been the Gaytriarchy. And remember, Gigtow is not a way of life. Gigtow is a reminder of who will be with you for the long haul. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.